September 8, 1943. The world believes a soldier will fight to the last bullet, hold every trench, and defend his nation until death. You do not surrender without a fight. That is the unshakable rule, passed down through centuries, written in military manuals, etched into the hearts of every soldier. Across Europe, the assumption is absolute. Italian units, despite whispers of weakness, will resist the Allies. Retreat might be allowed, but capitulation before firing a shot? Unthinkable. Italy is in chaos. Mussolini has been deposed weeks earlier, leaving the nation politically fractured and militarily exposed. German forces occupy the north, watching for any sign of defiance. Allied commanders prepare to invade southern Italy, expecting resistance from every Italian battalion in their path. Even within the Italian army, officers and soldiers brace for orders that will demand courage under fire, a defense of honor at all costs. But the rules of war, like old maps, do not always match the terrain. The Armistice of Cassibile, secretly signed on September 3rd but announced today, declares Italy's surrender to the Allies. It upends everything. Soldiers are exhausted, hungry, and uncertain whom to obey. Officers worry about German reprisals. Civilians fear reprisals and chaos. Major General Umberto Ferrero, 54 years old, stands at the center of this storm. Commander of the Italian 4th Army Corps, he holds the lives of 60,000 men in his hands. Every order he gives could save thousands, or unleash disaster. Allied intelligence assumes resistance. German command assumes compliance or defiance under force. Only Ferrero knows the truth. He must achieve something unprecedented: surrender without firing a single shot. Historians will later marvel at this day. Ferrero confronts the centuries-old rule of war, the belief that surrender is shameful and only resistance honorable. In the span of hours, his disciplined, deliberate orders will save lives, preserve equipment, and challenge conventional military thinking. No one expects this. Not generals, not soldiers, not civilians. And yet, September 8, 1943, becomes a turning point, a day where obedience and humanity intersect on the battlefield, showing that under precise leadership, surrender can be an act of strategy rather than disgrace. The rule is clear: you do not surrender without a fight. But on this day, one man will prove that even the oldest rules can be bent, reshaped, or broken.
Major General Umberto Ferrero was 54 years old in 1943. He is a man of quiet discipline, gray-streaked hair combed neatly, eyes sharp and calculating, a jaw set with the weight of decades of service. He has spent his life moving through the rigid hierarchy of the Italian military, mastering logistics, coordination, and battlefield strategy. His reputation is built not on flamboyant displays of courage, but on calm precision under pressure. Soldiers respect him. Subordinates follow him. Allies and even potential enemies know his reputation for clarity in crisis. But this is no ordinary crisis. Italy teeters on the edge of collapse. Mussolini has fallen. The new Italian government seeks peace with the Allies, yet German forces occupy key regions, ready to punish anyone who deviates from their expectations. Across southern Italy, towns and villages brace for chaos. Supplies are stretched thin, communications are fragile, morale is at an all-time low. Thousands of soldiers face uncertainty. Do they fight, retreat, or surrender? Each choice carries the risk of death, imprisonment, or worse. Ferrero's 4th Army Corps comprises over 60,000 men, spread across coastal fortifications, inland positions, and strategic transportation hubs. Among his ranks are soldiers who have fought in North Africa, veterans of campaigns across Europe, and new recruits who barely understand the machinery of modern war. The Corps holds artillery batteries, armored vehicles, supply depots, and communication networks. Each element is capable of inflicting significant damage, but only if someone is willing to order them into battle. The Armistice of Cassibile changes everything. Italy is officially leaving the Axis and surrendering to the Allies. Suddenly, Ferrero faces a question that no military manual has prepared him for. How do you command obedience when the order is to stop fighting? How do you convince tens of thousands of soldiers to surrender, in good order, to former enemies? How do you prevent German reprisals while preserving the lives of your men?
The stakes are monumental. Every misstep could cost thousands of lives. Every delay risks German intervention. Every hesitant subordinate could spark chaos. Yet Ferrero moves with purpose. He contacts his division commanders personally. He issues instructions in clear, calm language. He emphasizes discipline, organization, and safety. He reminds his officers, this is not cowardice. It is a duty. Duty to preserve life, to protect the men who trust him. Across the southern coast, the Allies prepare for their landing at Salerno. They expect resistance from Italian forces, perhaps minor, perhaps fierce, but nothing like what Ferrero has planned. He intends to surrender without fighting, to hand over not just men, but their weapons, equipment, and defensive positions intact. This is unprecedented. It is dangerous, and it is the only choice that preserves the lives of tens of thousands of soldiers. As dawn breaks on September 9th, Ferrero's orders are clear: stand down, surrender in good order, and protect lives. The impossible action looms: to surrender an army without a single shot, under the watchful eyes of both Allies and Germans. History is about to witness a moment that defies expectation, strategy, and conventional understanding of honor in war. Ferrero picks up the field telephone. The line crackles with static. "Report your positions," he says. "Do not fire." The words are simple, but their weight presses down like artillery shells. Thousands of men await confirmation that what they are about to do is lawful, correct, even honorable. At the port of Taranto, 2,400 Italian sailors brace for potential combat. Rifles hang from shoulders. Battleships are moored, cannons cooled. Ferrero's orders flow through the chain of command. Do not resist. Prepare to surrender to Allied forces.
The German officers arrive in small vehicles, their faces hard, demanding compliance or confrontation. Ferrero negotiates with precision. He promises cooperation and careful coordination. Any aggression against my men, he warns, will be treated as an act against the armistice itself. The Germans pause, uncertainty flickering across their faces.
Meanwhile, on the southern coastline near Salerno, 12,000 Italian infantry await their orders. Boots shuffle against dusty roads. Rifles rattle in leather slings. Eyes scan the horizon for the invaders they have been trained to repel. Ferrero's command reaches them: lay down your arms. The soldiers hesitate, then obey. Not a single shot is fired. 1,500 yards to a German observation post, 1,200 yards to a coastal artillery battery, 900 yards to a minefield. Every calculation predicted chaos, but the impossible is unfolding. disciplined surrender. Soldiers who trained to die in defense of the homeland stand in neat ranks, waving white flags. Allied commanders receive word. Lieutenant General Mark Clark cannot believe it. Reports describe Italian troops surrendering en masse, organized, disciplined, and unharmed. Artillery crews sip water, leaning against barrels they had trained to fire. Soldiers shuffle supplies, mark maps, and prepare to hand over equipment. Ferrero personally inspects the lines. Every salute is crisp, every man compliant. He walks along the battalion positions, nodding to officers, ensuring the surrender remains orderly. By midday, 3,000 Italian tanks remain idle. Ammunition is catalogued, defensive positions dismantled, every life preserved. An attack looms. Ferrero communicates swiftly. Any engagement against my men is prohibited. German commanders pause. The moment of potential disaster passes.
At Toronto, engineers dismantle fortifications, while logistics officers coordinate the transfer of supplies to the Allies. Rifles, artillery shells, trucks, and communication equipment are inventoried and handed over intact. Soldiers remain calm, obeying each instruction without panic. Ferrero's command creates an environment where surrender does not feel like defeat, but a careful, deliberate act of strategy. Midway through this process, word comes of a minor German patrol approaching a surrendering battalion. Tension spikes. 1,500 men stand frozen, rifles slung, eyes wide. Ferrero personally intervenes via radio. Hold your fire, they will pass. Minutes stretch like hours. The patrol withdraws. The surrender continues without incident. If you find this kind of untold military history as fascinating as we do, we'd be honored if you'd hit that subscribe button. We believe these stories of courage, discipline, and genius deserve to be told. And by subscribing, you help us ensure they aren't forgotten. By evening, the Italian surrender is complete. Allied forces report minimal resistance. German command scrambles to adjust. Ferrero has done what seemed impossible, surrendered 60,000 men without a single shot, preserving lives, materiel, and the integrity of his command. The strategic consequences are immediate. Allied forces gained over 60,000 trained troops, intact defenses, and logistical support without a single casualty. German forces, expecting resistance, must divert attention to secure disarmed allies. Units that might have slowed the Allied advance now stand neutral, effectively removing obstacles in southern Italy. In Rome, news spreads rapidly. Ferrero's decision shocks Italian officers across the peninsula. Other units follow suit, surrendering in coordination to minimize bloodshed. Campaigns that could have taken months and cost tens of thousands of lives are shortened, accelerating the Allied push north. What the Germans did not anticipate was the clarity of Ferrero's command. They expected panic, chaos, and sporadic resistance. Instead, they encounter order. By preserving discipline, Ferrero not only safeguards his men, but indirectly teaches other commanders how surrender can be executed strategically.
Historians later note that Ferrero's actions shaped Italian participation in the latter stages of World War II. Entire coastal divisions and artillery units, handed intact to Allied forces, contribute to subsequent operations in Sicily and the Italian mainland. His decision demonstrates that surrender, when carefully executed, can be both humane and strategically advantageous. The ripple effect reaches beyond military calculations. Italian civilians see a model of leadership grounded in preserving life. Allied command initially incredulous, documents Ferrero's method for future military study. The surrender changes expectations for engagements between armies facing internal collapse or shifting allegiances. Major General Umberto Ferrero retires quietly after the war, returning to Turin. Surrounded by books, letters from soldiers, and memories of a tense September, he reflects on a career defined not by glory in battle, but by the preservation of life. Veterans of the 4th Army Corps recall September 1943 as the day obedience coexisted with humanity. The day surrender became a calculated act of duty. To this day, Ferrero's surrender of 60,000 men is studied in military academies as a rare example of disciplined capitulation. His leadership prevented unnecessary loss, ensured the safety of thousands, and preserved critical infrastructure for Allied use. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. Every click tells the algorithm this piece of history is worth remembering. We're dedicated to rescuing forgotten stories from the archives. Subscribe and turn on notifications to join us in honoring these moments. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment with your city or state and share if someone in your family served. Thank you for ensuring that Major General Umberto Ferrero and the 60,000 men of the Italian 4th Army Corps do not disappear into silence. They deserve to be remembered. Their obedience, discipline, and humanity under impossible circumstances remain a testament to the power of strategic leadership, the triumph of careful planning over chaos, and the enduring possibility of mercy in war.